Kentucky. When I was how long before I was even born.
And welcome to episode 2 of Bourbon and Ballistics. I'm your host, Joel Potter, and today we have Joel and Sherri Dunn sitting across the table from us. We are going to talk about some rockhounding. We're going to talk about some woodworking, reclaimed envy, and Nevada silversmithing. Yes. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Great.
How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
Doing good. We are drinking the Redwood Empire Pipe Dream, which has treated us very well.
It has treated us exceptionally well.
It has been fun. So
it's been really good.
This is going to be a fun episode. You guys, this is take 2, and really, the first one was a blast. I hope we can kind of recapture some of that essence, because you guys do have a really cool story to tell, and I hope that we can get some of that across. So why don't you guys just start off real quick, tell me a little about you guys, and then we'll delve into your guys' companies.
Let me start?
Yep, you got it.
So I'm Sherri Dunn. I am Nevada Silversmithing. Been doing this for almost 5 years. Native Nevadan, 5th generation. 6th generation if you count Nevada as a territory. My family came over when Nevada was a territory still. So I have strong Nevada roots I'm exceptionally proud of. And my husband Joel does the lapidary and reclaimed NV, woodworking and metal art. So
unfortunately, I'm only 4 generations Nevada. So Sherri's family came from that Lovelock to Elko area. Still have family in Paradise Valley, Winnemucca, Lovelock, Elko. My family's more the 50 corridor, everywhere from Yerington out to Ely. But same thing, really strong Nevada ties and battle-born pride.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys. I ended up finally catch you guys. You know, you guys are extremely busy, a lot of traveling, and if you're not traveling, you're here, deep in the shop. So thank you for taking the time to sit down with me.
Thank you for coming over.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the companies a little bit.
Okay. We'll start with what's probably been the strongest portion of we have 3 businesses, as Sherri mentioned. So we've got the Nevada Silversmithing, and that is building the Southwestern jewelry with Nevada materials. Sherri starts with raw silver, and we use mainly Nevada stones from turquoise, veracite, jasper. I have an opportunity to start a second side of that business with the lapidary side. Lapidary is just simply cutting the stones for Sherri's jewelry. Started though in retirement, going on 6-7 years now. I started by building furniture with Reclaimed Envy is the name of the business. Typically we use a lot of reclaimed material from steel to barnwood, do a lot of live edge, do a lot of epoxy pours. But I tell you what, the Nevada silversmithing that we'll probably talk the majority of today about has kind of taken on the biggest portion of our business. So,
it is a
you guys.
It is a big deal. And Sherri, the work that you're creating, I mean, it is gaining all sorts of recognition. I mean, you guys are big in doing a lot of rodeo stuff. Where would we have seen you recently?
Recently would be, locally would have been back in September. Actually in September, both at the Douglas County Rodeo and at Genoa Candy Dance. Although I wasn't at the Candy Dance, you were there. Just recently, last weekend, we were at the Western States Ranch Rodeo Association National Finals, and that was in Winnemucca. So we have been very, very blessed with being able to really just infiltrate, I guess, the rodeo circuit. My brand of jewelry is very Southwestern. We only focus on Nevada stones, so that's a really huge selling point when we go to our Nevada events, as well as even over in California. I mean, very respective that we only use Nevada stones to do our business. So I guess the most recent one would have been the Western States Ranch Rodeo Association, and that was their national finals. So that was really cool.
That's a big deal.
In Winnemucca, and
I think a week before that, you were with John Menser over at Snaffle Bit Fortuity over in Reno at the Livestock Event Center.
That was huge. So we've had a lot of local events lately. It just kind of one after the other. And so we're getting ready for our last event, which is this next weekend in Winnemucca. And then we'll have a little bit of a break, and then we're right back into it with the Red Bluff Bull and Gelding. So
Just long enough to replenish the stock.
just long
That's
enough
all
to
we're hoping
replenish
for,
stock,
huh?
work on some customs, and
That's really what the business has kind of come to. Sherri started I think 2 days after you retired, you took a silversmithing class and didn't really take the class with the idea of becoming an entrepreneur and starting a business, but built a couple pieces of jewelry, and now you're selling anywhere from 50 to 150 pieces at each one of the events we go to. So between events, all she does is sit at the bench for 12, 13, 14-hour days, sometimes more, just building jewelry.
And that raises an interesting question. When you guys retired from your careers, what led you both into this? How did you guys end up sitting on this?
well, for me, after I retired, I kind of delved back into just everything with my grandmas. One of my grandmas was the rockhound. She was all about Nevada. Taught me everything. Like, she had this huge wall in her house that had these specimens of Nevada rocks and gems, and she would tell me stories about how she would go out and she'd go to the mine and she'd find them, and she would actually give me like the scientific names of them, and what they were and why they were, cinnabar, and why they were formed the way it was, and just all these different things. And then my other grandma, we would sit with her jewelry box. It was my great grandma's jewelry, and it was like Baroque type jewelry. And she would tell me about how the ladies would dress back then with my great grandma. And when I see pictures of her with her brooch, pins and hat pins, and so I've always had this love for jewelry. But my Nevada roots run really, really strong. And so when we retired, I was like, we love rockhounding, we love exploring Nevada, and I just want to take it all and put it into jewelry, and let's do this. I mean, it was kind of one of those, I just wanted, create. And so.
Yeah, on my side, the week I retired, I had a friend that I've always been a maker. I've always done a little metal smithing and a little woodwork, and my dad did the same. My grandpa was a big wood crafting guy. Every time you'd get a gift, Christmas or a birthday, it was something he made by hand.
Oh, really?
And it meant a lot to us.
Oh, that's cool.
Not only me, my sister, my cousins, and I kind of followed that as a third generation maker. But my intent in retiring wasn't to go into a business. Friends asked if I'd make a barnwood table, and I thought, it'd be great. I could make really big metal base, and got some local barnwood I got from a friend, and they put a post out on it, and next thing you know, I have a furniture business, and it's been gangbusters. I've actually had to slow down a little bit to kind of keep up on Sherri's side. Although both businesses are very lucrative, the Nevada silversmithing side kind of puts us into a niche where we get to travel a little bit, going to the events to sell the jewelry, but we're surrounded by the Western lifestyle. We're at rodeos, and we're talking to the best people and the best families, and we've developed amazing relationships where the furniture side, although I enjoy it, and I'm making a ton of furniture. I've got a couple big tables I'm finishing up right now, and but it just doesn't have that personal connection to every one of my customers that the Nevada silversmithing side has.
It's funny because when you talk about that, the first thing I tell people is the Southwestern jewelry has really become the heart of my artistry. It's where the lane that I'm in. And a lot of times people will ask, did you grow up on a ranch? Did you grow up? No, I didn't. I grew up in Elko. I was immersed in the Western lifestyle growing up in Elko. I had friends that had ranches. My dad worked as a kid. He worked ranches in the summertime. Had my mom and dad both had horses. So there were things like that, but growing up we weren't in that lane, but immersed around it. And so the influence was always there, and the respect of it was always there. That Western lifestyle, that ranching family lifestyle is just, I don't know, it's the heart of Nevada. I don't know, I don't know, it's just the heart of Nevada. Without it, we wouldn't have a lot of things. So I love being able to represent it in the jewelry.
Well, when you think about Nevada, you think about ranching and mining.
100%.
And both.
But that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're tapping into both of those resources.
Yeah,
Both
super
avenues.
awesome.
Yeah.
And where can we see some of your guys' some of the jewelry?
Well, right now, I do have some pieces at the Dancing Deer. I do have some jewelry there. But really,
That's up in Genoa?
Up in Genoa.
Okay.
Really, right now, you'll see me online, mainly with social media. I was at the Circle S Western Market. Of course, they went a little bit of a different direction. They kind of stopped doing the Western apparel and started hosting more events. So, we still set up in front of there for wine walks and events and things like that. But mainly, you're going to see me at events, rodeos. I don't know.
And on Instagram.
And you guys are shipping out pieces,
Yeah, absolutely.
out of state.
Absolutely. We have a lot of customer base. It's grown quite a bit.
Yeah.
Some of the events that we go to, we've been able to capture out of state customers as well with our artistry. So it's a good thing.
And actually, it's a little difficult. I mean, I've been tasked with building a shopping platform for Sherri's website, and although it's a long time coming, really we haven't been able to keep up with the demand right now. Between shows, having to come back and build. I mean, I'll tell you what, the reason why we talked about the candy dance, Sherri wasn't able to take jewelry to the candy dance this year because she was so successful at the Douglas Rodeo and the Snaffle Bit. She had 6 pieces left going into candy dance. So we were able to just showcase a lot of the artwork that we do with some of the reclaimed wood from the area. And we sold that this year in the candy dance.
Which was super successful.
Yeah, it was. But right now, if I was to put, the few pieces that Sherri's built this week online, those are going to sell next week in winnemucca.
Yeah.
It's really successful.
We're blessed.
We're blessed. So that eventually we'll have an online shopping platform for you. But for now, just follow us on Instagram and come to some of those local rodeos.
Perfect.
We might have something in the works, but I can't really.
All right, maybe we'll get that next time.
Yeah, we got something
next time
coming.
We'll have something to share with you
Good.
guys.
Yeah.
But we're really crossing our fingers that this other venture down in Gardnerville is going to work, and yeah.
On my side for the furniture, we're going to showcase a piece that I partnered with Tahoe Reclaim. Tahoe Reclaimed is Vince Huff, and Vince has several employees. They're located over here off of Johnson Lane. They're associated with Nova Tile, and they do exactly what I do, but they do it tenfold. We build the same type of barnwood tables. We both do epoxy pours. We do a lot of live edge building. We've kind of morphed over the last year where I do a lot of metalwork for them for their tables.
Okay.
And in exchange, then they'll do some of the tabletops for me. One of the most recent projects, we did the Mark Twain room at the Fox in Carson City. Jim Phelan, the owner of the Fox, called, and I built some tables for him in the past on his patio, and he wanted to rebrand the room in between his old bar and the restaurant to being the Mark Twain room. And with that, he had a vision, and we kind of put it on paper and built 2 beautiful live edge tables, and I did the bases, and we had Vince and his crew do the tops, and built a bunch of shelving, and it just turned out to be a spectacular build. This coming week, we've got one of those partnerships that we've built, and it's for the Carson Valley Chamber of Commerce.
That's right.
So Alicia Main has a program that she offers, and it's a leadership program. And every year, if you're an up-and-coming leader or new to the community, or you've been hired into one of the governmental offices, you have the opportunity to join this leadership class and become immersed into your community. You get to tour the back side of the sheriff's department and see how they function and operate. You get to go to the fire department. You get to go to the treasurer's office. You see how the community you now live in operates.
That's cool.
And it's a fantastic program. But as a participant in that program, every year, you have to take on a project. And this year, that group met with me several months ago and said, hey, we'd like to do a really big signature project and something that'll last forever. We'd like to build a table for the Chamber of Commerce conference room. And they came up with a design, came up with the celebration of Carson Valley. And it's a Nevada that's been routed into a beautiful piece of walnut. It has 1861, founded in agriculture. It has the 2023 leadership with Job's Peak in it. It's just a spectacular piece.
Beautiful, yeah.
They raised $1,500 to cover some of the direct costs that both Vince and I incurred in the project, but the rest of it's all donated. So for that $1,500 they raised, they're getting about a $15,000 table. But we'll do the unveiling of that table this coming Thursday, November 16th, 4 to 6 o'clock, and that's at the Chamber of Commerce.
And you guys do a lot with the community. I mean, you really do. And if you talk about that for a little bit, because I think that a lot of that's lost, but let them know.
Well, I think Sherri doesn't like to throw it out there, but with the success of the business, I think on Sherri's side alone, she donated over $50,000 in jewelry last year to pretty much everyone that asked.
My belief is that without the people that are supporting me, I mean, I'm not anything. I mean, so I need to be able to show my gratitude and support back to them. We've donated to cancer fundraisers, the Checker Club,
Mule Deer,
Nevada Muleys. I mean, in Nevada Muleys in Winnemucca, the Checker Club here. I mean, the cancer fundraiser in Carson City. Two of the most, were just poignant pieces that I've done. One of them was a Battleborn series piece that I did. It was for a fundraiser for the paramedics that were lost on the care flight accident that happened, which was just it was a horrible tragedy, but an amazing fundraising event for them. The other one we do is the Blue Line project, and that was just kind of one of those events where Joel got a batch of turquoise from Lane Otteson, which is the Otteson family out of Tonopah, and we got some Thunderbird blue ribbon and some Viking ribbon turquoise, and we were wanting to make Nevada shapes out of it, and for whatever reason we shifted the ribbon that was going through of turquoise to run horizontal, and I just went, wow, that looks like the Blue Line. And it was done during the time when all that BLM stuff was going on, and so there was a lot of really horrible press about the public safety as a whole. And I don't know, it was just, I'm all about supporting. We have family members that are with Douglas County Sheriff's Office. I'm a huge supporter of our local fire department, and I just thought, wow, we need to do something for this. So Joel and I called Lane and said, hey, what do you think about donating to this cause? And we're going to do a Blue Line project, which is basically all the proceeds are going to go to what the Douglas County Sheriff's Office sees as a immediate need, I guess, for a donation, which was their Explorers program.
Right.
And so, during that time frame, it just seems so appropriate because, who really would be
very difficult to recruit new sheriff's officers during
that time. I mean, there was a lot of bad publicity nationwide about our sheriff's officers, and I mean, our sheriff's officers here in our county are amazing.
Top notch.
The best.
Top-notch sheriff's officers. And so I thought, holy smokes, let's do this, So we made this Blue Line project, which was Nevada-shaped jewelry, blue line of turquoise going through, and the officer's badge number is on the back. And all the proceeds went to their Explorers program, and Lane loved that, So Lane's like, let's do it for.
And Nye County had their own Explorers program.
And so we split the proceeds between that, and so
it's been a great fundraiser and it's reached statewide now. Although it was intended when Sherri first started building, it was going to be Douglas County and just Nye County.
Sure.
There's been NHP from around the state, Humboldt County. And we still have quite a few Nevadas that are ready to go into jewelry. So if
Yeah.
anybody
Yeah,
listening
Yeah,
to this,
we'll post up a couple pictures of that on this. Yeah,
absolutely,
on this
because
post.
we're all about that, and again,
Fantastic.
all the proceeds go to, we split them half and half, 50-50 between Nye County and Douglas County. So anything new coming in is going to obviously be split between them, but super proud of that project. I mean, just, I don't know.
What
and
are
we're
the,
looking for,
when you're looking at, not to interrupt,
No,
but
that's
the man hours, woman hours that go into those pieces in particular. I mean, the sizes, I'm guessing, are fairly similar.
yeah, they range.
On the
I
cuts.
mean, what we did this year, or what we did with that project, is we said, hey, let's just try to keep it all necklaces, just because obviously it could get really big really fast, and I wanted to make sure that we could get everything done in time. We could do simple embellishments on there and so forth, but each piece probably has about 3 to 4 hours in there, maybe 5, depending on the amount of embellishing that we do on there. So 15-hour days we're putting in here to do just all of our jewelry, but for those battle-born pieces, 3 to 4 hours a piece.
How do you determine what type of stone becomes what piece of jewelry?
Wow. So Joel doing the lapidary work is amazing, because he will take a stone that's in raw form, rough is what it's called, slab it, look at it, and he's become so good about just allowing the stone to tell him what it needs to be as a shape. And I know that sounds really quirky, but it really truly is like a free form thing. There's times when I'll go to Joel and say, hey, I need to build a lariat, so I need these shapes. But most of the time it's just like free form. Let's go forth and do. And then he'll bring the stone to me, and then I sit and kind of play with it, and sometimes it takes a little bit, but most of the time I can look at it and go, okay, you're gonna be a necklace, or you're going to be a ring, or you're going to be a cuff, or you're going to be a lariat, because we've got all these other stones that go with it. So yeah, I had somebody tell me one time, you need to let the stones talk to you and tell you what they want to be, instead of force fitting it. And so I do, and like I said, sometimes it takes weeks, honestly. I mean, like, I'll just sit, and if it's not coming to me, it just gets pushed aside.
You've had some stuff that just sits there for a while.
Sits there for a while.
Yeah.
I'll bring it back out, I'll look at it, and then I don't know if it's my mind is clearer or what the deal is, but all of a sudden it'll start kind of coming to me, like, here's what you need to be, so that's, I don't know.
the opportunity to expand into the lapidary side of Sherri's business was provided by a friend, Lisa Ponch out of Carson City. Actually was a friend of a friend at the time. He called and out of the blue said, hey, you're the guy that makes those tables, those river epoxy tables. I said, sure, what do you need? And he said, well, I have what you need. And I said, okay, well, what do you have? And he said, well, I have a bunch of lapidary equipment, and I hear your wife is a silversmith, and I'd love to do a trade. And I said, okay, well, tell me what you want. So sight unseen, I built him his tables, and I went over and met him, and his yard looks like quartzsite. And if you haven't been to quartzsite is a trading mecca for silversmiths and rockhounds, and there's, I think, 100,000 people, if not more, that surround the small community of Quartzsite, Arizona for about 2 to 3 weeks. And it's the trading capital of rocks. Well, his yard looks like quartzsite. and it's really fits into our brand because it's all Nevada stones. He is an absolute rockhound. Well, I was excited, and I gave him his tables, and he gave me a trailer full of parts. And I love building, and I was excited that I didn't get a bunch of equipment. I got a bunch of parts, so I got to make the equipment I really wanted to. And going back to when Sherri started doing silversmithing, one of the biggest expenses in building the jewelry is the cabochon, the raw gem material that you buy to put into the jewelry. And to be honest, Sherri was buying from some of the most reputable turquoise dealers on the West Coast. And sometimes we were a little unhappy with the quality that was coming in. Sometimes it was a little thin. The polish wasn't quite as good as you had hoped, and the cut wasn't exactly the way you wanted it. And we thought, well, this is a great opportunity. Let's just do it ourselves. We'll do it internally. We have ties to all of the rural communities. My family has a lot of ties to the mines, and so we thought, well, shoot, we'd be able to find turquoise. And sure enough, we got the equipment and reached out to family members across Nevada. My uncle lives in Crescent Valley, and if you're not from Tonopah, which is the mecca of turquoise, you're from the Austin to Crescent Valley area. That Lander County has some of the best turquoise found in the world.
I was going to say, what goes into finding the stones?
Well, I have to say, when we started like most, rockhounding. We would drive out, and one of the trips we did, one of our first trips, we knew that there was an old mine site out by Battle Mountain that there wasn't a claim on, so we could go out and look. And what we found first was the old Mormon crickets, about a bazillion of them. But we put our boots on, pulled our pants up, and we went out and found some gem silica, found some turquoise, found some really nice jasper. Spent a day with some really good friends out on their side-by-side, and funny.
And family too.
And family. You had family, and had a great day. Went to a couple old mine sites that had some old metal for me to put into some reclaimed art.
Cool.
The ending of it's kind of a funny story, though. We got back to the truck and loaded up the side-by-side on the trailer, and Sherri jumped out of the back of the side-by-side and forgot that we'd put it up on the trailer and flat-backed into about 1 million Mormon crickets.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it was not good. So, and it is kind of funny when we talk about it, because it was one of those moments where, I'm hopping off thinking that we're on the ground, and we've been on the quad all day long, so a little bit rummy, we'd been out all day and just had a great time. And so, I hop off the back and I kind of do like this jump off, and as I'm thinking I'm going to hit the ground, I'm like, the ground's not there yet, and I'm landing on my back, and there's Mormon crickets everywhere in my hair, and so it was really funny, because I got up and acted a little cool about it, like, oh yeah, I'm fine, brushed off the Mormon crickets, and went around the front of the truck like, oh my god, I'm so hurt. It's really sore. But it was it was good. But
no, having an opportunity to go out rockhounding in Nevada was fun, but the turquoise that we put into the jewelry, the grade of that turquoise that Sherri's customers have come to know and expect, really requires us to go straight to the mines. The turquoise that we're using is coming from out of the earth, not on top of the earth. That turquoise that's on the surface sometimes just isn't the right grade, and unfortunately, a lot of the turquoise in the market these days comes from what you can find either in just old tailings or on the surface, but it's typically stabilized, and lapidary artists or silversmiths will infuse those pieces of turquoise with epoxy or glue, and they become hardened, and it adds color to the pieces. And we try not to. A lot of lapidary artists will infuse their turquoise that they find rockhounding with epoxy or glue, and it's known as stabilized turquoise. And probably 95% of the turquoise on the market these days is truly stabilized turquoise. It's still beautiful. It's nice jewelry. There's nothing wrong with it, but it does devalue that turquoise. We try to stay true to, we always use Nevada stones in our jewelry, but we try to never use stabilized turquoise. The only exception to that is if somebody comes in with a piece of their own turquoise and they want it in a piece of jewelry, we'll use that.
Sure.
But yeah, so we've developed a relationship with all of the miners in Nevada, from turquoise to veracite. We do go out and find either agate or a lot of jasper that we use in our jewelry. But outside of that, the turquoise comes straight from the mines.
Yeah, and one of it, like we kind of touched on a little bit, but our business model has never swayed, which is we're only going to use Nevada stones because we're Nevada silversmithing, and again, our roots in Nevada run strong, and so we want to pay it forward to other Nevada families that are out there mining it and selling it, and without them, I don't have a business. So it's something for me where I want to pay respect to them. I don't want to go anyplace else. I want to work with them. We work with some collectors that actually work with the mines as well, and so we're getting some very high grade, old stock turquoise. Some of it is turquoise that you can't get anymore because the mine isn't functioning anymore, and and that's like, I don't know, that's huge for us. I mean, that's our business model. We want to make sure that we're doing it, to pay it forward.
Well, every piece has a story behind it then. The first batch of turquoise, when I got the lapidary equipment, I reached out once again to my uncle that lives in Crescent Valley, and he, through a friend of a friend, everyone in Crescent Valley has a turquoise mine or has a stash of turquoise, but we were able to get several pounds. I would say over the course of 2 years, probably 50 pounds of some of the highest grade fox turquoise. There's a lot of beautiful turquoise in Nevada, but this fox turquoise was an inheritance that a friend of my uncle's had got from her great-grandfather. And he'd worked several mines in that Lander County all the way down into Austin. So the batches that we've received has not only fox, we've had Damali, turquoise and veracite, some beautiful Godber Burnham turquoise, Dry Creek, Blue Gem.
And it's funny because the story goes that her great-grandfather or grandfather?
I think great-grandfather.
He worked the mines in that area. And so when they paid him in turquoise.
Oh, really?
So here he is, acquiring all this turquoise, and when he passed, he left it to his granddaughter. And she was like, I don't know what to do with it. I don't really want anything to do with it. She just didn't know what to do with it. Sort of like, we'd love to buy it from you.
She really wanted a new car, is what she wanted to inherit, and I think we've bought her a couple of new cars now.
Yeah. But, so
That's
we bought
cool.
these, we bought this turquoise from her, we're cutting it open, and, like Joel said, probably, I would say 95% of it is fox, because it seems like that's the majority where he mined. But every so often, all of a sudden, it's like a surprise. It's like a Cracker Jack box, it's like we're getting into it, and Joel's cutting it open, and flaying it, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, we've got Blue Gem, or we've got
Number
Dry
8
Creek,
and Dry Creek, and
or we've got Damali, and these are all sought after high grade turquoise that, you just can't get unless you're really working. In my opinion, my humble opinion, you just can't get unless you're working with someone. We know exactly where it's come from because we're actually cutting it. What's
the learning curve? As far as you guys, throwing out all the different varieties of stone, like how? You guys are geologists? No, right? So what is that? How do you acquire the necessary information to process what you guys are actually getting?
So, first and foremost, just working with the person that we're working with,
Okay.
So, if we're working with the two gentlemen that we work with that are collectors, they are some of the most fascinating historians of mines ever. Like, I can call Dave or I can call Bob and say, tell me about this piece of turquoise, and tell me the history of it. And they'll tell me the entire history of the mine, and then we go and research it and get more history of it. But, it's working with the gentlemen that we work with, working with the mines, the mining families that we're working with to get it.
a ton of research.
Yeah.
When we sell the piece of jewelry, when we're sitting at the Winnemucca rodeo or the rodeo, you're not just selling the piece, you're talking to who's buying it.
Yeah.
You're telling them about the process of making that piece of jewelry. And most of all, you're talking about the gemstone, the cabochon, the turquoise, the veracite, where it came from, what mine it came from, what family it came from. Mm-hmm. And so we always get the backstory, the history of every piece that we make. And a lot of people don't realize, but if you have an opportunity to look at a turquoise map, when you look at the western states, the majority of all of the turquoise that comes from the United States comes from Nevada. Mm-hmm. There's only a few mines in Arizona. There's about 3 or 4 mines in New Mexico.
In Colorado.
In Colorado, there's a little hit and miss here, but the top grade is all Nevada turquoise.
Really?
And it's in our backyard. I mean, there's turquoise just on the backside of the Pine Nut Range in Yerington. The Cassidys have a mine, and it's great, beautiful turquoise. That's the gem quality that we try to put into some of our pieces. I would say we talk a lot about turquoise, the jasper. Jasper is a big hit for us. Jasper is a little bit harder stone, harder as far as the Mohs scale. So when you're looking at stones, they rate stones from 0 to 10, with 10 being the hardest. So that's a diamond. Turquoise typically falls anywhere from that 4 to 5. The higher grade turquoise you get, sometimes you can get 5 or 6, and it forms a little bit better. It takes a little bit better polish.
Sometimes even a 7.
Sometimes a 7. I've had some really good turquoise that I've had to polish up a 7. Jasper stays really consistent at that 6, 7, 8. It's a really hard stone. Polish is great. Really good to form and cut. We have chicken track jasper that is very difficult to find. It's you actually go up into Oregon. Some of it's in Oregon, but the batch that we have came from Nevada. You have to drop back in where now there's a lithium mine being built, and that's going to limit access. So luckily, through some friends that do a lot of rock hounding, we've acquired most of the stash that I know of, probably 300-400 pounds of this chicken track jasper, and it is a stunning jasper. It's in little wash beds, and when you cut it, it's this most beautiful mountain scene. We cut Nevada cabochons, and it's been a real hit for us.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel like other people in the industry are providing that same backstory or that same love for where they're actually acquiring the material from that you guys are?
I would say yes.
Yeah, some of them do.
When you look at some of the other Nevada artists that are out there, they're definitely trying to promote Nevada. I would say it's hard to rival my love for Nevada.
Right.
Just because of our family history, and not to diminish them at all. They're out there doing the same thing. They're trying to promote Nevada, but I don't know. For me, it's all about the other families in Nevada that are working hard to do what they do best, and or were working hard, because again, some of the stones that we're acquiring are not even mined anymore. So some of the stock that we have is back from anywhere from the 50s to the 70s. So it was being mined back then, and I don't want to not pay homage to them,
right,
because again, without their hard work, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing with the high grade turquoise.
Yeah, Bodie, he wants out bad.
Bodie wants out. So yeah, I'm sure there are others out there that are just as proud as as what they're doing. But
you'd hope so. If you're going to put the time and effort into it, that you'd have that same sort of love for it. But I feel like you guys do a great job on all aspects and all fronts when you guys are putting anything together. That you guys are definitely putting your heritage of the state first and foremost. And that is important.
Well, there's so much history, and I guess I'm a history buff in some respects as that goes. The one thing that we like to do is I like to tell a story about anything that we have, even Joel's pieces that he has for his wood and metal art. And he can talk about that too, because he tries to make sure that he pays homage to the old barn wood where it came from, but for me, it's about the mines. So some of it is, I love being able to tell my customers, hey, you just purchased a piece of Darling turquoise. And that turquoise was mined back in, Lander County. It was mined decades ago. And the gentleman who owned the mine, as the story goes, he named his mine after his daughter who passed away. And her name was Darlene, so he named all the turquoise that came out of there Darlene. Now, a lot of people don't know that, but we were able and fortunate to get our hands on some of that. So when I make a piece with it, I want to make sure that person knows, there's history, there's substance behind it. Not just the artistry, but there's substance behind that person who went out and mined it. He lost his daughter, back in late 1800s. Lost his daughter, named his mine after her, and now all that turquoise is named after her. So for me, cool. It's there's more. It's about the story too, and I love sharing that with our customers, and with Joel with his barnwood. All the barnwood has a story, and so
It's important for us to know what we're selling. Sometimes we're challenged by the customer.
Yeah.
One of the first shows that we did 2 years ago down
You
in
were with us in Winnemucca.
Oh yeah, that was a blast.
And in Winnemucca, and all of a sudden you get a customer that walks up and says, "Hey, that's Damali Vericide, isn't it?" And you better know it's Damali Vericide, and you better know where it came from, because they do know.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what you're selling, they're not going to buy it from you.
Right.
You know, we take a lot of pride in. Sherri touched on the reclaimed NV side. So I think the majority of this will be talking about the jewelry, but the reclaimed NV, we took on an opportunity to do artwork, not just tables. So I ended up with a pile of scraps that from the barnwood tables and some cut-offs of metal from building the table legs, and we decided to do the candy dance last year for the first time. And I took that opportunity to take those scraps and I made some Nevadas, and we did some cutouts, some American flag cutouts, and we did mule deer and elk and the Basque Labrador. And so we took a Labrador, I said it right. Yeah.
Couple whiskeys
in.
Flow off the tongue.
Just
so
fine.
good.
And the same thing, I was able to sell this Nevada and tell the people that were buying it that piece of barnwood came from the Lucanberries, who own the JT, who own a ranch just around the corner from where I'm selling it at the Candy Dance. Some of those pieces came from the Hellwinkle Ranch. I was able to acquire a lot of barnwood from the first dairy farm in Carson City. Built a table for the owner, and I ended up with stacks of barnwood. In fact, you as a neighbor, you know that my back acre has piles and piles of barnwood.
A little bit of wood back there.
Yeah, a little bit of wood. To me, it's gold. It is absolutely.
Sure.
You know, I just did a job last week. Someone with an entrepreneurial spirit decided that they were going to build a wine and beer and art vending trailer out of an old horse trailer. And she called me 2 weeks ago and said, "Hey, I'm looking to do some countertops in this trailer." And she had a vision, and she knew that she wanted some really rustic, gnarly looking black walnut. And when she asked me about it, I knew out in one of those piles I had some of that for her. And finished it up this weekend, and going to do an install when we get back from Winnemucca at the rodeo next week. And it's a beautiful piece, and it's Nevada. It's old history.
Yeah, and it has a story.
It has a story behind it.
Super fun.
Just touching on Joel's artwork, everything that Joel does is all Nevada themed. I mean, it's all Nevada big game. It's all Nevada heritage. Again, we talk about the Bass Cross, and I'm not going to try to pronounce it because I'm 2 whiskeys in, and so I'm not going to be able to do it. But our grandkids are Basque, and so I didn't tell Joel this, but at the last event we were at, a gentleman came up to me and said, "You have the Bass Cross up there?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And he said, "I'm Basque." And I said, "Well, my grandkids are Basque too." And he has this giant Basque tattoo going down his forearm, and in Basque it says respect. And our art promotes conversation. And it promotes the conversation about Nevada families. I mean, he's a native Nevadan. He's strong in his Basque heritage, and that's something that's huge in Nevada, especially northern Nevada.
Of course. Yeah.
So it's just everything we do is Nevada based, and we're super proud of it. I know we keep hammering that in, but it's like I can't emphasize that enough. It's
when we jumped into this. We really don't need to run businesses. We have great retirements.
Right.
We wanted to stay busy. We wanted to stay active. Most importantly, when we moved out here to Douglas County, I was born and raised in Carson City. I moved to Douglas County so I could be closer to my grandkids. Our daughter had the opportunity to go to Douglas High School, and it was the best experience for her. I was multi-generation Carson High. I know there's some booing going on in the broadcast right now. But one of the things we wanted to do when we moved out here was to become actively engaged in this community.
Right. And you guys have done a great job with that.
And so now we rarely turn right when we come off of Johnson Lane. We turn left, and we get involved. We talked about the chamber table. We talked about all the donations. And we believe in this community, and we want to be a part of this community.
Well, this community has supported us, and And again, like Joel talks about growing up in Carson, I grew up in Elko. So this community reminds me a lot of Elko when I grew up, and that was many moons ago, but
Not quite the same anymore.
Not quite the same in Elko right now. I mean, like, I love my hometown, but as a child, teenager growing up in Elko, coming to Minden is very much like what I grew up in. I mean, everybody supports everybody. It's a small town spirit. It's support. It's everybody coming and watching the football game. It's everybody coming and watching, like the softball games. I mean, it's support, and so we want to support back. I mean, with that, with our artistry. So that's.
And with that, you guys are doing the wine walks. You're doing the Douglas County Rodeo, Katie Dance,
the country Christmas.
Country.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. That's coming up.
In a couple
That's
weeks
going to be a
right
doozy
after.
for sure.
And that's huge. I mean, this is the third year for that, and
It's a bunch of local makers coming out and selling their
4-H.
artwork, and it's all fundraisers for 4-H.
and who better to support but 4-H?
Right.
I mean, really. I mean,
So that's the weekend after Thanksgiving. It'll be out at the Douglas County Fairgrounds, inside in case it's inclement weather, and Santa will be there.
Santa's going
Santa's
to.
coming,
That's gotta go.
so I mean, get ready
Yes.
because he's ready for some pictures,
Yes.
and he's great with those pictures. I mean, Santa's all ready to roll.
Good
there,
dude.
So.
Good dude.
So yeah, so
That's gonna be
it's-
fun.
It's good. I mean, we're happy to continue to give back. I mean, all the time.
You guys have had opportunities to venture out, travel into California occasionally, and do some shows or rodeo events out there as well.
We definitely do the rodeo events. I mean, our next big event, our huge event that we're getting ready for now is the Red Bluff Bull and Gelding Sale.
Oh, right.
And that's a big one for us. I mean, that's huge. I mean, it is such a fun event. Like if you've never been, it's just fun.
Yeah.
Like it's
One
again.
of the things you do is you become part of a vending family.
Yeah.
The first event we did was the Winnemucca Rodeo, the Ranch Hand Rodeo that's put on by their tourism authority, and it is an absolute community event. There are participants that come from all over Nevada, and they're ranching families. It's a true rodeo that showcases what ranch hands do every day, how they live, how their livelihood comes. But with that, all of a sudden we have a vendor that comes up, and we took a lot of pride in building our booth. So our booth.
Oh yeah, let's talk about the booth for a little bit.
So
The booth that takes us like 6 hours to assemble.
Yeah, I love it.
I am
Put a picture of that in here, too.
competitive. I do not like to lose. And when Sherri said, "Hey, you know what? I sold a lot of jewelry in a friend of mine's booth at the rodeo last year. Let's do our own booth this year." And I thought, well, hell yeah, I'm going to build the best booth there. And so I went online and I started looking at how people were doing their booths, and I thought, well, we can do better. And so we built a spectacular booth. We were lucky enough to get the absolute best spot in the house at the Winnemucca Rodeo for our first event, and it just took off. It took off for us in the fact that other vendors took notice of what Sherri was building in her jewelry, how our booth was good for the promoters, good for the event, very inviting. People wanted to come into the booth. It didn't just look like your typical 10 by 10 with a couple of tables. It was...
Which there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with
because
that.
A lot of people, that's all they can do.
Right.
So,
Right,
But step your game up.
Get it together.
Get it together.
I'm sorry. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to have a husband that can actually make
Right, that
these
helps,
things.
yeah.
I mean, but yeah.
But it does. It became kind of a spectacle in itself, just the booth. And after that first event, there was some people that became very good friends. They sell the best barbecue sauce, Rockin' 3H.
Rockin' 3H Barbecue.
My favorite.
Cheryl and Andy. Shout out to them because they are so good.
They invited us to dinner in Winnemucca, and so then they had to come to dinner with all of Sherri's family from Winnemucca. And of
course.
We're talking, and they're like, you gotta come to Bishop Mule Days with us. It's a great event. And we're like, well, we should. And they said, yeah, but it takes about 3 to 5 years to get in, but I'll make a call. And so on the way back from Winnemucca, after tearing down the booth and driving, and we sold a ton of jewelry, and we thought, wow, maybe we're onto something here. This might work. And we called down, and this wonderful lady, Sherri Lee from the Bishop Mule Days, she already knew about us before I called her because Andy called and he told her about our booth and she had pictures of the booth somehow. And so she said, yeah, we're going to get you in this year and we're going to get you the best spot. And that's just kind of how it's been everywhere. The bull and gilding sales Sherri just talked about.
That's because of what you did with the booth.
And they called and said, we want you and we want your booth and we're going to give you a fantastic spot. And we've been blessed.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been amazing. You know, to sell 50 to 150 pieces of jewelry at an event is
even more at the Redwood.
Even more at that one takes.
That's about 200 to 250 pieces
of jewelry. So between events, sometimes only a week to 2 weeks, we're in here for 12, 13, 14 hours a day making jewelry. This morning, Sherri was busy getting ready for next week's event, and there was some 80s rap, there was some Rob Zombie, a little Van Halen, anything that could really motivate you to just flat work.
And that's, I mean, and to your point with the display in itself, I mean, you're building a brand, you're building a name, and you could have a very good product, but unless you're really marketing that product, efficiently, then you're gonna be left out.
We knew quickly that Sherri had the artistic skills to build the jewelry that people wanted to buy. We knew that we were onto something, but we needed to have the avenue to sell it. Mm-hmm. I was fortunate enough to, in my career, I ended my career as a tourism director, and I had the most incredible team of marketing professionals. I hired the greatest minds from Carson City and down here in Minden and Gardnerville, and I learned through them how to market Carson City, and it was social media. Mm-hmm. And you're looking at two, mid-50 artists that...
I thought she was definitely in her 40s.
Yeah. I was going to say 29, whatever.
And we quickly needed to know that social media was the way to market ourselves, our jewelry, our tables, our art pieces. And that's probably the most difficult part of pricing's difficult, but selling yourself through social media when you have to spend an hour or two to take pictures, quality pictures that showcase your artwork and put it out in front of your potential customers. If you don't invest in that time, you're making a mistake. You can have the best product in the world. Mm-hmm. And if you don't find a way to get in front of the right target market, you're in trouble.
And that's a perfect segue into first line ballistics targets, because it is, social media is a fantastic avenue to get to that target audience. But in the firearms industry, it is becoming increasingly difficult to, in the last year, for example, watching videos or media posts that would have probably gotten us, a few hundred to 1,000 views, down to single digits because nobody can see them, right? Yeah. And this is not necessarily just in the firearms industry, but any market. If you're not out there, you're not helping your friends by just liking those posts or engaging on those posts or anything like that. I mean, that is the fastest way to kill a social media presence. Absolutely. And that's one of the things that in the last week on our local Facebook groups, it was just an opportunity to, created a post just to try to see what we have in our valley that, with the holidays coming up, which we all love.
And look what happened with that post. I saw the post. You did it fantastic. In the evening. The next morning, there was 150 posts. And it generated business for Sherri. Sherri put a photo of what we do.
It's important. I mean, it's important to just, a lot of times I get flack because it's almost like I have too much time on my hands, but I engaging on those posts is going to help fix that algorithm. I mean, I only see like 6 people, on Facebook, right? And Instagram's getting no better, right? So to take the time to share, to comment, to engage those posts is such a big ordeal. And what we did gain from that post on the community forum was we have a ton of talent here.
Awareness.
Absolutely.
A ton of talent. And where are we going to see them?
Yeah. Well, and like Joel said, even that forum, that forum created a business channel for me as far as a client coming in and saying, I was looking for you. I didn't know who you, I didn't know where to find you. And this forum helped that. So, thank you for doing that first and foremost.
absolutely.
But
I saw everything from spas to mechanics to
massages. I mean, the whole
everything.
works.
was outstanding.
If you're not
Yeah.
spending your money in like if you live in Douglas County right now and you don't go to that post and you get
Absolutely.
everybody in your entire list taken care of, you're a fool.
well,
Yeah.
and honestly, I mean, that post is there to support the small businesses. Like you said, it was everyone from florists to massage people to silversmiths to ballistic or to the first line ballistics and it was just like everyone came together on that cookies for gosh sakes. I mean,
If
and
you
that's
didn't know
all
what you were going to buy for
smart
Christmas,
people.
you should
You know, yeah.
should
And
know.
if you do not bookmark that post,
Yeah.
and if you're not like in your right mind, if you're not going through every single one of those and go, what can I get for Aunt May or Uncle Mark or whomever it is,
And
but
support those other people.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're like us. I mean, we're fortunate enough that we've, our hobby, our initial hobby grew. I mean, without us going down that path, forced us to grow into a business. I mean, for lack of a better word. I mean, it was like, we were like, holy smokes, this is taking off. Those other people too, I mean, same thing. I mean, like we're talking about. So shop local.
There's
support
2 or
your
3 other
businesses.
silversmiths locally in Carson Valley.
Yeah.
We work quite a bit doing the cabochons. Once again, the cabochon's the finished gem that goes into the jewelry. There's some silversmiths locally that are now buying cabochons from me, and half the time we're just trading or giving it to them just to support them. Carly Strauss with Envious, it's NVUS, Silversmith,
Silverworks, yep.
She's fabulous, and she also teaches classes.
That's cool.
She's half of the people that take her class have become silversmiths. They loved it so much, and she's by trade a teacher. And now she's a professional silversmith and doing great. There's a new silversmith in the community that Elizabeth Freeman. She's fantastic. She has her own lane, a complete different look than anyone else, and she's trying to build her business. And she was on your forum that you put out on that. So if anyone's looking for it, it's on Facebook. It's the Gardnerville Minden Forum. It was a simple post that got a lot of traction. Probably well over 200 now businesses have had an opportunity to showcase what they sell locally.
Yeah, it's so great.
And it's, if the businesses take the time to put it out, take the time to buy from them,
Yeah,
support
absolutely.
them.
and that's one of the best things about this time of year. I mean, I know that you guys know, but for those listening, I mean, the holidays. The Thanksgiving and Christmas to me is just a big blur of just joy and sharing and trying to just if my friends are doing good, then I'm doing good, and that's exactly the purpose of when we're throwing up Christmas lights the day after Halloween, because you know what I want to do is I want to get in that giving spirit. I want to get in that joyous moment where I feel like I get a little less upset on the road. Not much more, but a little less upset, and I feel like I might just see her at the Target buying Christmas lights, and I applaud her for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so there's a lot to be said about this time of year, and I think that if you can do anything for your family by doing good by your community, you should absolutely go out there and do it. And we have a really big event we already touched on a little bit. What have we got coming up in the next week?
So next week, next week is Winnemucca. We're going to go back to Winnemucca, and this is a really cool event. I've never seen this before. It's a big loop rodeo.
Yeah, not heard of that.
Never heard of it. BT Gatherings, it's called, and this is huge in California. BT stands for Buckaroo Traditions. So this is what they call a big loop roping competition. And, we're all used to watching our ropers through the rodeos. It's very fast. The cattle is let out, the stock's let out, and they're roping really fast. And it's all about time and, getting the cattle roped and all that. The big loop appears, now I've done a little bit of research because I had to make sure I researched before we went into this event.
You should know. Yeah.
I should know what we're doing. This is all about truly the cowboy, the buckaroo, is getting a huge loop, and it's all about the different types of releases that they're doing with the cattle. So if you get a chance, I mean, if you look up Big Loop rodeo or Big Loop competition, you will see how big this is. This is huge.
Massive.
In California.
Yeah.
And Oregon too. There's a huge one in Jordan Valley that goes on. There's a big rodeo that goes on. It's all about the Big Loop. It's all about different releases and how they're roping the cattle. And so they're bringing it to Winnemucca. And while we were in Winnemucca, the event promoter came to us and said, hey, I know it's short notice, but would you like to come and be a part of the BT gatherings? And we're like, sure, let's try it out and let's do it. So we're going to go back to Winnemucca next week.
I think they're anticipating somewhere around 1,000 participants for the first year. So that's not bad.
That's
a good start.
So we'll see how it goes. You know.
Do you think this is going to be like a more of like a centralized draw, like as far as the crowd is concerned? Like people are going to be interested enough to come from different states to come see it?
I mean, it seems like that there's, like Joel said, that there's about 1,000. They're expecting about 1,000 people to show up. So I'm hoping that it's from all around the area. Again, it's their first year.
Right.
So, but if you go out and look, I mean, it's huge in Oregon. It's huge in
Idaho, Oregon,
and in California. So I think it's really cool that they want to bring it to Nevada and start it off. So.
You know, of all of the events, I mean, obviously Mule Days was a great event for us. The Bull and Gilding Sale in Red Bluff. We enjoy all of them because of the typical customer that comes in is the ranching lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's the cowboy and his family, and but I think the one that I like the most are those ranch hand rodeos. The ranch hand rodeo celebrates the rancher. It celebrates what they have to do every day in their livelihood. And Winnemucca provides that for us. But I'll tell you, last year, Fallon built a new arena, the 3C Event Center, and it is spectacular. It is basically the same one that Winnemucca has on steroids. They've done everything they can to create an economic engine in this facility, and we were lucky enough to be asked by the Battleborn Broncs to come out and sell Sherri's jewelry. We were lucky enough to be asked by Battleborn Broncs and Skyver Boots. They put on an event for all of the saddle bronc and bronc riders that come to the Reno Rodeo as they're transitioning into our beautiful state. They have an opportunity to come out and win a significant purse in Fallon before they start the Reno Rodeo.
One of my most favorite events we've been to.
It was,
honestly, I love all the events we've gone to, but shout out to Battleborn Broncs and Darcy Sparrow and Skyver Boots, because they put on such a phenomenal event. And I don't mean to cut you off, but a PCRA sanctioned event. You have the best of the best of saddle bronc riders and bareback riders competing, and that's all it is. It's just them. They're gaining points to go to the NFR. So they get
free camping and steak dinner, and
so great.
It was on a Wednesday night of all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so good. If you
sold out event.
If you guys can go and get your tickets, I mean, 5,000 people. 5,000?
How cool!
3,000?
No,
I can't remember.
No, yeah,
5,000. 5,000 people at that Arena 3C for that event last year, and they're going to do it this coming year. And so I am so proud to be a part of that. It's so cool to see that happening in our state. You know, it's
and they ended up having a roping event for a couple of days afterwards, and followed by barrel racing.
Barrel racing that was at the Reno Rodeo for a while, and so our 1.5 day stint ended up being an 11-day stint
in Fallon,
because they asked us to stay. But gosh, we loved it. We sold their apparel, and I mean, it's great. So if you can go to that in June,
It's hell like a hoot, yeah.
Oh yeah, so good.
We're looking at a couple of new events. You know, we're still retired, and we still want to make this if we're going to travel to an event, we want to make it as if we're enjoying a vacation.
Yeah.
So we want to stay an extra day before, maybe a couple after. We're looking at, there's a Christmas event. It's they mirror it kind of like Candy Dance with just, I think there's 150 vendors up in Idaho. And maybe looking at doing that next year as a new event for us. I'm confident that we can sell our jewelry and our artwork at any event that we go to. So why not see some new ones and travel to new events? And, you know, with the success of the event, now we have 2 fifth wheels sitting in the backyard. We bought a new fifth wheel with a toy hauler so that we can haul around that spectacular display that we have. And we have to show up a day early to set it up and a day after to tear it down, but it's really worth it.
And, you know, the display itself, you know, like we kind of touched on it a little bit, but, you know, when we first started, it was a 10 by 10. It was all jewelry. And then we expanded to a 10 by 20. And then we started expanding to like a 10 by 25 because we started carrying the event promoters apparel. But even when we're not carrying that, we are now starting to carry other people's artistry. We have Mincer Silversmiths out in Fallon, who I collaborate with on pieces now, carrying pieces that we make together. Cheryl Sanchez is making beautiful wild rags for us. And we have art from Mauricio Sandoval. So, and then of course Joel's art with his wood metal art. So now our booth has kind of turned into this.
It looks like a boutique.
Like a boutique.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys got to see a little. I think we were a 10 by 10 when you guys were there with us, right? I mean,
I think it was 10 by 20.
10 by 20?
Yeah. But it definitely seems like it's taken on a life of its own.
And it's exactly what we want to do because we want to feature other people. I mean, you know, Nevada Silversmithing. So let's feature other Nevada artists too. So
I'm glad that you guys are doing that. It's super awesome.
Cool.
I think the promoters are utilizing what we have as kind of the entrance to their events now.
Yeah.
All of these facilities are giving us front and center, and we don't want to disappoint.
Yeah.
You guys are kind of encompassing most of what they're looking for, and that's fantastic. Now, this is Bourbon Ballistics podcast. You guys are avid bow.
oh my gosh.
I don't know, hunter. You're a hunter.
Yeah.
You're more of a marksman. Markswoman.
I think more competitive. I
Just badasses with the bows. These two.
We do like to go and shoot competitively. We haven't had an opportunity to do that in the last couple of years because of the business. But prior to the business, we were shooting competitively, and then Joel was out. I mean, we're huge advocates of hunting. I mean, we're about filling our freezer full of organic meat that we know is coming right off of the mountain. I mean, you know, that's all it's about. So,
as an outdoorsman in this state, I mean, I've had an opportunity since the day I turned 12 to hunt big game. I killed my first deer with a rifle in the pine nuts, a stone's throw from the shop here, and after that year I went to archery, and I've had an opportunity up until probably my early 30s. Every year I drew a tag and was able to harvest either an elk, antelope, or a deer, and sometimes multiple animals in every year. And so we always had big game to eat. It is more difficult to draw a tag in this state. I went 9 years without getting a deer tag, and finally drew one last year. This year I went 0 for 19 on. I apply for every game tag available in this state, and unfortunately sometimes you don't draw, but we are fortunate enough to be surrounded by family members and friends that hunt, and so I usually have an opportunity to go out on a hunt every year. In fact, this 2 weeks ago I had our nephew Nico, his wife was lucky enough to draw one of the best bull tags in the state, and it was a muzzleloader tag, so right in the heart of the rut, in an area that provides some of the biggest bulls in this state. And unfortunately I had a couple of things I had to finish up. I planned on driving out Tuesday morning and had the truck full with the tent and coolers and everything, and they called Sunday morning and before the sun was up and told me that they had found a big bull, and the season opened that morning, and they kind of walked me through the hunt on the phone as they harvested an absolute monster of a bull.
Good job, guys.
Yeah, a couple of guides were in tail trying to get the same bull, and they got to it first. And one of the guides is a friend, and he actually called me, and so I'm on the phone with a guide complaining that our nephew and his wife are getting the bull that he was supposed to have for a client. And but no, it's my entire life has been surrounded by Nevada outdoors and hunting, and right above us there's several bows that are hanging up. Some have been retired that have filled our freezer many times, and we love it. It's what our family's about. Sherri's 3 generations of archery. Her grandmother started the Clear Creek Bowman Club with Tim Meigs and Fern Meigs back probably early 70s.
If not,
yeah, with Jim Davis and Al Uhart and some of the best names in archery in this area were all part of that initial program of Clear Creek Bowman. And it's a family event.
Just need some time.
Yep.
Yep, and I have to admit, I have not taken hunter safety at this point. I really want to, but
well, our granddaughter's turning 12. And she'll be another generation of hunting Nevada.
So shooting competitively, but prior to the business was really easy because the competitions were spring through fall. Hunting, the tags that they're drawing are August through November, and that's our super busy.
A lot of things happening. Yeah,
a lot of things happening.
Sure.
So, maybe I'll get to draw my hunter's safety, get my hunter's safety done, and draw my own tags. But
Sherri's goal is she wants to shoot a turkey with her bow first.
I want to shoot a turkey.
Yeah.
I don't know why I want to shoot a turkey.
And then maybe an
have it
antelope.
coming, I think.
I think he had it coming. That stupid gobbler.
Yeah, the dumb thing on their neck.
He has it coming.
He gets them first.
But yeah, that's my goal, is to get a turkey tag. I mean, I know that sounds super silly, but I really want to shoot a turkey. And maybe we'll graduate from there. But competitively, we shot all the time as a family. That was a big thing for our family, was to shoot competitively. So, and now our grandkids are out shooting ducks, and
they were duck hunting with their dad Friday night.
Yep.
Yeah, they had a softball tournament over the hill, and they went and killed some ducks before they went over the hill, and it's kind of what we're surrounded by.
Yeah.
We are Nevada.
We are Nevada.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good. Well, I guess what I want to, before we sign off, really let us know any up and coming exciting news or events, or where can we see you guys? No, I love it.
Okay, good.
Love it.
Of course, BT gatherings next weekend in Winnemucca. We have the Country Christmas Market, which is going to be in Douglas County Fairgrounds. The Saturday and Sunday after Thanksgiving.
I guess the 25th, 26th.
Yes. Yeah. And then after that, it's a whirlwind.
We have 1 month to build 250 pieces for the January bull and gelding sale.
And then it is nonstop until probably July. And we have a little bit of downtime, and then right back in it. So
we try to take July off and just do a little bit of camping and do our thing, and then we go right back into it. But yeah, it's a great retirement right now. I think we'll continue doing it. A lot of people ask, why we jumped into this. We're busy, and that's what you want to be when you retire.
Right. You see so often people retire, especially when they come from government work. They just kind of shack up in a hole.
Yeah.
You never get heard from again.
Never heard from again. No.
So you guys are definitely doing it correctly.
Yeah.
And we touched on it a little bit, but you guys have a good thing going and staying on top of it. You guys are on the top of the game right now, and just ride that wave as long as you can.
Absolutely.
We're hoping. I mean, it's I feel
build an
like we're
empire.
kind of at the crest. It's like kind of the pinnacle, and we got to ride it out. To see where it goes. And there's a lot of goals for us. We'd like to go to Pendleton. We'd like to go to Cheyenne Frontier Days. We were going to go to the NFR this year, but that didn't kind of quite work out for us.
Looking at 2024 for that.
2024 is a whole nother ball game. So I'm all about positivity, and it's like, let's shoot for some of these bigger events.
I'm excited to see.
Exactly.
But if you're looking for what we do and what we make, the best opportunity is social media platforms. I would look up Nevada Silversmithing. Sherri does the majority of her posts on her Instagram. Once again, Nevada Silversmithing. A few of those then go to her Facebook. Reclaimed NV for the furniture side. both on Facebook and Instagram, and Nevada Lapidary is just on Instagram.
Guys, we'll see you really soon.
Yes.
And I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to
Thanks
do
for
this
this
more
opportunity.
than once.
Thank you.
And God bless.
Yeah, thank you. You
Happy
too.
holidays.
Happy holidays. Oh, man.